Finally, after so long, so much waiting, the Shinsengumi is finally back in this series. I waited so long to see Kondo, Sogo, and Hijikata finally back in Gintama because I missed them. But let's just talk about that final character that was introduced, okay? That new character that looks oddly like a certain someone we know from a certain food product. Okay, jokes aside, Yamazaki, what in the hell happened to you? My boy, like, my boy, Yamazaki. Like, okay. Yamazaki, he became Rambo. The man is macho, like he is a beefcake, okay? That's the best way to describe Yamazaki at the end. He's a beefcake. Like, what happened? Like when all the characters are talking, when Gintoki, they're like, who's this new character and all that, and you see it's Yamazaki, like, I had a suspicion it was. I'm like, the hairstyle, the voice, I'm like, is that who I think it is? And then all of a sudden we saw his face, I'm like, what happened to you, my boy? Like, my boy! Like, it seems like the only one that actually developed and changed was Yamazaki. He's the one that got the time skip, and everybody else, they got nothing. They didn't do any time skip at all. I thought that was pretty funny. I mean, you have this stuff going on with Kondo, Hijikata, and then Sogo and all that, and then all of a sudden you notice, like, they haven't really changed at all. And then you look at, Yamazaki, it's like this man took everybody's time skip and then just put it into himself. He's like, I am the one known as Yamazaki time skip. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. That legit makes sense. That's what I think I get from that scene. But, anyways, with that aside, okay, jokes aside and all of that, well, jokes are not going to be aside, because there's a lot of funny things to talk about. Kondo, I'm so glad to see him back. I love him. He's a really funny character, and what he did in this episode when he came in looking like, a bit of a crazy, awesome character, and then all of a sudden he ripped off his clothes and made it look like training weights, I'm like, they're pulling a Dragon Ball. They're pulling a Dragon Ball, okay? And then all of a sudden when he pulls off everything, I'm like, okay. I mean, like, this wouldn't be Gintama if it wasn't something like that, especially with Kondo. So I'm like, yep, this is Gintama for you. I mean, if it wasn't for that, I don't think I would have fell in love with the series as much as I have, because Gintama, Gorilla Sensei, he's a master. Gorilla Sensei's a master when it comes to mixing tone shifts, mixing comedy and serious tones. I love that. I love the tone shifts. I really do. He definitely has mastered it over the years of constantly writing the series. You can see how good he has gotten at it, especially when you see that moment with, Gintoki, and he's, suffering. He's, like, having his own internal struggle, realizing he'll never be able to catch up to, Utsuro and all that. That's a really crazy scene. But then all of a sudden, you have the Shinsengumi come in, and they brighten up the day, and then we have this comedy segment, which is just like, that's a nice bright thing to have compared to the first half. That was a very dark, segment. I'm like, this is nice. It's really nice, but only Gorilla Sensei could do something as good as that. Now, anyways, talking about the scene, like the comedy part of the scene with Kondo, when the man took off all his clothes and he took off the sensor and all that and threw it on the ground and he stepped on, like, I felt that pain. Like, when the man stepped on his own, I can't say it because of YouTube censor reasons, so that's how YouTube is, but, oh my god, like, that looked painful. That was painful. Legit painful. I was like, oh, when you saw the man kill over and you saw blood, I'm like, no, that is probably the worst thing that could possibly happen to an individual. Now, the stuff going on with, Sogo and Hijikata, that was pretty funny. I couldn't help but laugh when Hijikata's like, I have managed to quit my cigarette addiction. I'm like, this man, he's finally done it. He's finally started to live a healthier life. I'm like, yo, Hijikata, I'm proud of you, man. Like, that you went through a real legit time skip. You're taking care of yourself. Good man. And then Sogo, what he did, that was that had me dying. Like, the man's like, mayonnaise, and he squirts. He's like, uselessly wasting mayonnaise makes Hijikata very angry. And when you have the little summary, he's like, you've been, harassing this man since the beginning of the series. You know, you haven't changed at all. I was dying. At that point, I just couldn't help but laugh because of how Sogo was just so perfect. The voice actor and everything was so perfect. The way he just squeezed the mayonnaise and you just see it squirt everywhere. And it just is like, he's there to harass Hijikata like he always has. He hasn't changed at all. I love it. I love it. Good stuff, Gintama. Good stuff. Gorilla Sensei doing some good work there. Now, let's talk about, I guess, the first half. That's the very serious segment to the episode. I think many are going to want me to talk about that. So, the first half, it's very depressing. Because the more you see it, it just shows that Gintoki, he's at a loss right now. He realizes he hasn't changed. When he's starting to think inside of his head and all that, he's like, I haven't changed at all. I never make any progress, and his sword will not reach Utsuro at all. I'm like, yo, when you have that mental image of him thinking about how he was as a kid, slowly progressing through the series and stuff, and he realizes he hasn't changed, he hasn't gotten stronger, I'm like, man, Gintoki's just going through a lot right now, and especially in that scene when you saw him fighting off, like, the zombies and stuff that were going at, you know, his entire group, you know, of odd jobs, he's fighting them back and all of that, and you're like, whoa, this is just some savage stuff. I mean, he's just, you know, flaying zombies like it's nothing. The violence of that scene was just very, very different than what I expected from Gintama. I mean, I know it can get pretty violent and serious, but whoa, when you saw those scenes doing how he was just, you know, stabbing all the zombie, like, guys and then throwing them to the side, I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I mean, when you're used to Gintama being, like, very, I guess, mild, even being more in a comedy-like setting, and when you see something like that, it really shocks you, and I think it's what makes these tone shifts so much better, is because of how Gorilla Sensei handles that, how he manages to get us used to a certain theme, like a certain segment of his series, like maybe comedy, and when he shifts it over into something serious, and you're like, it just jars you. It's very jarring, and that's what I got from the scene. It jarred me just because of it's not what you would normally expect from Gintama, and yeah. And speaking of characters, though, Shinpachi. Shinpachi's okay, though. I mean, well, his body is okay, but his actual real soul is not, because his glasses were all beat up, so I'm surprised. I'm surprised he was even able to move and walk around properly, because, I mean, his glasses were all in tatters, so, yeah, I mean, props to the man. Props to the man for being able to survive the damage and all of that. Okay, I'm sorry, that was a bad joke and all of that, but, yeah, Gintama, I think it's a very spicy episode. I think I really cannot wait to see what's going to happen next. The princess surprised me, by the way. I mean, I don't really cared much about her. I thought she was kind of okay character, but seeing what she did as well in this episode, standing up to try to carry on her brother's legacy, that was a sweet moment, because it just makes me remember the Shogun and what happened to him, and I'm like, that's sad. That's really sad. Like, it just brought back all those feels of what happened to Shogun and how he's gone from this series. And even those comedy moments add weight to that and how he's gone. And I'm just like, that sucks. And so I thought she was actually going to die for a moment. I actually legit thought the princess was going to be gone. But she got saved, thankfully. But I do sense a major death probably in this arc. I do know it's bound to happen eventually, since this is the final arc of the series. It's just bound to happen. So, I'm going to end my thoughts there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below if you enjoyed this episode or if you hate this episode. I love you guys, and you have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. Love you guys. Please be safe. Chibi out.